let's see, Steve. I see we have Dr. Shapiro on. We have Dee. I see we have Anne-Marie, Danelle, Dale, Kate, Chad. Is there anyone else that we need?
We could probably start.
Yeah, all right. So, Steve or Vinny, you guys want to kind of help pick us up where we left off and next steps?
I'll let Vinny drive.
Yeah, I'll give a quick update based on our previous discussion. So, good morning, first of all. Dr. Shapiro, you can hear us, right?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Good morning. So we took the spreadsheet that was sent from Dr. Shapiro and highlighted all of those recommendations that she would have liked to be high priority, and we did take care of that in the bill domain. So moving forward now, based on if the patient qualifies within the parameters of the recommendation, all of those will be showing at the top and listed as a high priority. There was about over 50% that we had to update. There were a few that already qualified as high. So moving forward now, as you test certain scenarios within the recommendations, whether that's in our next IT event or that's going to be in some sort of system testing manner, those should now all be updated to be listed as high priority. So we did take care of that. The one other thing that was listed on there that I wanted to let you know, just pull up the spreadsheet real quick. Share my screen. And unfortunately, Brad's not able to join us. So if we do have any follow-up questions on the functionality that I'm not able to answer, I'll make sure we have answers on our next call. But the IPPE that was highlighted on line 42 here was updated to annual wellness visit now and billed as well. So let me just show you real quick. So originally it was listed as IPPE in this list, but now will be listed as annual wellness visits. So on the front end, when you're looking at the component, you'll be able to see listed as annual wellness. So that should be updated. And I figured we'd spend today.
It's Dr. Shapiro. I appreciate that. Do you think that there's a way we can further update that to say Medicare annual wellness visit? Because I didn't realize there's already an annual wellness exam under gender preventative, and I think that would be very confusing.
Sure. Just make a note in that spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Okay, so I figured we would spend some time today. I know we obviously have highlighted some that are definitely be flagged as high priority. Crystal Amendola, I know she's out today, unfortunately, and we couldn't get anyone from WMC. We have a few people on PTO today that weren't able to join. But to get your input on some of the existing satisfiers that are out there for these recommendations, as well as the rules that qualify the patients, demographics, et cetera, that qualify for these recommendations as well, if you were curious in taking a look at those. Before we jump into the existing ones, though, I did want to go to the bottom, and I know you had listed 3 out here, the pneumococcal vaccine, shingles, and COVID. So just to kind of give you just an overview of what this looks like from a rule standpoint, I'm just going to pull up the influenza vaccine to see what our existing parameters are for this. So it's as simple as if the following are true, this would display on the patient's recommendations if they're at least 9 years old. So I know for the shingles, I believe we had, and we're going to look at building these out as similar to the influenza vaccine. The shingles was listed as everyone over the age of 50. How about the pneumococcal vaccine? That one I wanted to get some more information on.
Yeah, hi. So shingles vaccine, just to expand on that, it is a two-shot vaccine. So it has to, it's only fully satisfied after the patient has received 2 doses of the vaccine. And it's age 50 and over, so it's 50 plus, greater than or equal to 50.
Gotcha. Noted. So the pneumococcal vaccine.
Pneumococcal vaccine is a little more complicated because
Okay.
there are multiple pneumococcal vaccines available right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so the general recommendations for any pneumococcal vaccine is everybody 65 and older, and those under 65 with certain immunocompromising conditions. And there's a list of them that I don't have in front of me, but it includes diabetes, heart disease, asthma, COPD, splenectomy. I mean, there's a list of them that's on the vaccine website, which I could get you. But then there are multiple pneumococcal vaccines, so that until a year ago, the recommendation was to have a pneumococcal conjugate 13, followed by a year later by pneumococcal polysaccharide 23. Now there's a pneumococcal conjugate 20 that is replacing those 2 vaccines, but some people have already gotten the 13 and still need to get the 23 to satisfy their requirement. So it's a complicated logic, but what I can probably do for you is get the logic out of Epic, because I am a builder in Epic, and so I can go into Epic and get the logic for these vaccines that they use to try and help satisfy that.
Okay, gotcha. So you have the parameters.
Someone else did the work. Right, someone else did the work. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I can pull out that rule, that logic rule, and get that to you. Same thing for the COVID.
Can I make some comments on this?
Sure.
Hey, this is Dee. Hey, Dr. Shapiro.
Hi, Dee.
So, as far as pneumococcal, shingles, COVID, in the first place, Cerner doesn't recommend us having immunizations in health maintenance. So we have immunization forecaster. That's where all of our immunizations live. Those immunization forecaster gets constant updates for how that logic runs. The pneumococcal, the shingles, the COVID, those things, the logic is almost too complicated for us to put into health maintenance. Like, as far as the pneumococcal, I spent months trying to perfect that before we had immunization forecaster and wasn't able to account for everything. As far as who gets it, when they get it, why they get it. If we try to build it in recommendations, it's not going to be anywhere near perfect. And it's not going to trigger that after 5 years for that pneumo 23. I don't even know what the regs are these days. But I can tell you that this is going to be a very difficult, very complicated build, and I don't know that it's even possible.
Okay, yeah.
With the limitations we have with the rules.
Gotcha. Okay, and I was going to leverage AMS based on those parameters to see what we would be able to do to begin with, but I'll take that. Dee, we can
AMS
maybe
is
speak
to help you with a custom health rule. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's fine.
Your best bet is me, and I don't even know if we can do this.
All right, we could have a discussion offline.
Yeah.
In regards to that.
So we're very accustomed to having our immunizations in our health maintenance. We're not accustomed, obviously, to checking an immunization forecaster. I don't even know what that looks like, honestly. I haven't investigated that within Cerner because I didn't even know it was there. But you know, you already have the flu shot in health maintenance, and so
Right.
it you know, it seems like maybe you take the flu shot out of health maintenance to keep all the vaccines in one place, or you put all, you know, or you try and get all the vaccines in health maintenance. Otherwise, you don't know where to look for what.
Right. So the only reason we left flu in health maintenance was because it's a universal vaccine. There are no requirements for patients having certain conditions. It's across the board. Everybody above the age of 6 months old gets a vaccine. Also, we left it in there so that you could send invitations on it to get your population letters or messages in portal to get their flu vaccine, because it's literally everybody should have one, right?
Right. But
so that's the only
logic
reason
here is
flu is there.
the logic here is everyone over 9 years old. It's not even correct.
What is the appropriate
It's
time?
6
I thought
months
it
old.
was
It
6
is
months.
6 months old.
Okay.
It is 6 months old, but the logic here.
So it depends
is
on
incorrect.
the client, how they set it up, but we can move that to 6 months old for sure. But my point still stands. The immunizations, the logic gets updated on a regular basis in Immunization Forecaster. If we need to review Immunization Forecaster, which lives in your workflow M page, which you should have, which I haven't looked at your workflow M page lately. We can do that, but that's getting updated regularly, and we are not updating rules for health maintenance to have immunizations in it. So it's going to be a big hurdle if you try to keep them in there, I guess is my point. And if we need to show you Immunization Forecaster, we can do that as well.
Hi, this is Anne Marie Walker with Population Health. I do have a question, Dee, where you were saying as far as outreach, the reason that like flu was being kept in the care recommendations is partly because we would be able to do increased outreach to those patients, or they might be able to see it through the patient portal. But we also do pneumonia vaccine outreach as part of our PCMH requirements. That's a measure, that's a vaccine that we outreach to twice a year to patients who haven't had one vaccine. So are you saying that we wouldn't be able to do potential letter and portal outreach for the reports like we would for flu?
If you leave it in Immunization Forecaster, there's no outreach from there.
So that would be another reason of, I guess, potentially looking to see about the health maintenance. Or potentially, if it can't be put in there, we would need an alternative way to be.
So here's a couple of things that I want to throw in the mix, just so you know. So invitations is being sunsetted. We got a flash in the last 3 weeks that invitations was on its way out. It hasn't been sunsetted yet. It was the first step in the sunsetting process to warn our clients that it is no longer going to be a Cerner solution in the next year or two. So outreach becomes something different. So it goes through either Salesforce or Dynamic Work List at that point. Other thing with pneumococcal, because it has had 2 doses, I don't exactly know what the regs are these days. I think there might be 1 dose. But if there's 2 doses, there's no way for us to distinguish between what dose a patient's supposed to be getting in that invitations letter. So that's another kind of drawback to that as well. Just keep in mind.
Right. Well, an invitation doesn't have to specify what dose they need, just that they need a dose, right?
Okay.
As long as the law just exists within Cerner to tell the provider what was there, and the provider should know pretty much what needs to be done. You're right, Dee. Right now, the current recommendations are one dose of PCV 20. But there are still some people who have gotten the 13 and who need a 23. And there are some people who will get the 15 and the 23. As I said, it's a complicated logic. I don't deny that. But if there's a way to even, cover 90% of the people who need it through the health maintenance, even if we don't get everybody, that is, that would work better for us if we, for, contacting patients, for reporting, for keeping all our health maintenance in one place instead of having to jump to a vaccine, a vaccine section also. So.
Okay, I just wondered if you all knew what I knew, and we're taking all those things into consideration.
Okay.
And Dee, we can when Brad gets back, we can have a conversation offline about what we're able to handle. Okay.
So before we get into the logic of some of these, I just wanted to again talk about having all, I think it's great that you made these the higher priority, that they will float to the top on the list. But what about having them forward facing as my role to all the providers when they open it, so that that's all they see is those.
There's an additional functionality that we're still looking into, but we haven't got to that point yet. I apologize, Dr. Shapiro, okay. But we will be looking at that.
Okay.
Okay, so based on the ones that are highlighted, do we want to start there as far as what how they are qualified for each patient, or would you like to look at the what's listed as the satisfiers? I know the satisfiers was something that Crystal had brought up, so we might have to do this one more time with her. But is there a preference on going through the ones that are highlighted first, or would there be another method you guys would like to do?
I would definitely go through the ones that are highlighted first.
Okay.
Because those are the ones that we want to see all the time.
Okay, so as far as the depression screening is concerned, it qualifies for patients at least 12 years old, and then they would then qualify for the depression screening. Is that age appropriate?
I only deal with adults, so
Okay,
to me that's probably true. I think that is probably close to true. If not 12, it's in that general age range.
Okay.
But that's what triggers it. But the satisfiers.
We're going to look at that next.
Satisfiers too, because
sure.
They go together, right?
Yep, we're going to look at that. Look at that just in a moment. I just want to note here, so I don't have to. When I send this to Crystal, she can take a look as well.
Okay.
Okay. Let's look at. Okay, so there's quite a few for this one. So just so you know that there's standard manual ones that you'll see across the board for a lot of these. And Dee, if you think I'm going off on let's say something correctly, please let me know. But that's, the satisfiers manuals usually consisting of cancel permanently, postpone, and refuse. Those are very common ones. But the other ones that you'll see in here are going to be a few that we might have added individually, such as like depression screening completed, which is a manual satisfier. There's also sometimes we have power forms linked to the satisfier within the component. So you would select the arrow within the component, then it would launch the initial depression screening PHQ2, which is a power form that was in the domain. Sometimes there's also orders. So here we have an order for a depression screening. depression screening scale 14 and 30 as well. So those kind of grouped under the same logic, and then also the scores from those power forms that are taken as well. So there's a few power forms here. Would we like to take a look at the power form? I believe these are also within
I've seen it.
Okay, so you've seen it within
that's
the
not a
intake
problem.
form.
Fine. I have, is this a one-time thing? How often does this reset? Because you have to do a depression screen at least once a year and with every wellness visit.
So it looks like this
Regardless of
is set for 365 days, so that would be set to the year.
Okay, and then is there a way to also trigger it if it's an annual wellness visit regardless of the satisfied duration?
No, there's not.
Okay.
There's not. You just have to know that you have to do that within your workflow for an annual wellness visit. And it's usually in the power form.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it is. It's in our intake forms that we've created. Okay.
just note here. Okay, next is the asthma written action plan. Okay, so this one is based on the person has listed as a condition of asthma, and then it would qualify for any of these asthma education, spirometry, the right peak flow, and the written action plan. As far as satisfiers are concerned.
That's this visit diagnosis, or is
Right.
it just on the
I
problem?
think it would be problem list as well. Anything within the problem list, yeah. So
but it would be a this visit problem or a chronic problem or both?
I will double check, but I believe it'll be both.
Because, I mean, I don't know that's appropriate for both.
Okay.
If someone has asthma that's well controlled and they're just coming for a splinter, you don't need to have a asthma action plan.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll see if it triggers based on this visit and chronic, or just this visit or just chronic.
Okay.
So this one has the 4 manual, which is the cancel, completed, postpone, refuse, but this one also has a power form associated with the asthma action plan.
All right, good.
And obviously, I know we're spending time looking at these individually, and this is a satisfied date of 180 days, by the way. We can open up each one of these on a test patient if you'd like in the future, and take a look at those power forms if needed. And I know we have a few testing events coming up where we could do some of this too.
Right. I've seen a lot of these power forms already, so.
That's good. 20 days. Okay, so I'll check on that problem list question, and we'll go to smoking. Okay, and this person has a condition of tobacco user, which is normally captured from the intake form within the social history. Okay, so we have the 4 manual. Then there's also 2 orders that indicate these are billing codes. I I don't recall. I don't recall why we added these when we first went live. I'm gonna double check on.
Yeah, no, because those are billing codes. So you order them and you can bill for smoking cessation counseling.
That's appropriate through the recommendations. I just want to double check because then we'll leave that in there.
Okay, it's appropriate to do, whether it's appropriate through the recommendations. I can't, not having used Cerner yet, I can't say that, but that's a great order to be able to put in there. I like that.
So we'll leave that in there. And that looks
the only thing is the satisfied duration is you should be counseling for smoking cessation at every visit. So, it should be up there. It shouldn't have like once a year. It should be with every visit. Even if they're coming there for a cold or a splinter, you should be talking to somebody about their smoking cessation every time.
Got it. Okay, so we'll check on that. And then also we'll leave those orders in there and those manual satisfiers in there. This is based on problem lists. And this was based on social history. Next, stand used for CBD prevention.
Not even in your list.
Yep. Check on this one.
Is that a custom one?
Yeah, so I'm going to check the satisfiers now. Let's see.
It might be under coronary artery disease management, maybe?
Let me check the...
Yeah, lipid lowering therapy.
Oh, did I miss it?
Fine, yeah.
That should be its own... Yeah, let me check something real quick.
Maybe lipid management? Interesting.
I might have to come back for this one so I can find it, but that's all right.
Okay.
Tdap vaccine. So, either. Note these.
Very interesting. Okay.
Okay, I could send an email out on those two once I find them. We could
Okay.
review. Influenza, we looked at the rule. We talked about possibly flipping that should be set to 6 months instead of 9.
Right. Is there a way to just show that certain days of the year? Like, currently in our Epic, it only shows from, I think, September 1st to April 1st to March 31st.
Yeah, that's called seasonal vaccine. So it's set
Yeah.
in Healthy X School if you need that instruction, Vincent.
Can you just repeat that one more time?
It's called a seasonal vaccine.
Seasonal vaccine.
And in Healthy XP tool is where you set the months that the flu vaccine populates on a patient's account. If you go back over to Healthy XP tool, I can show you where it's at right now.
Okay.
So find your flu vaccine under gender preventive. If you click on gender preventive on the very far left, it'll bring that to the top. There you go. Open up your flu and open it up again. Click on the second level down, the expectation level. There you go. Click on advanced down at the bottom. Go back down, go down to the step level. Sorry, I get my levels screwed up. Next level down. Next.
This one?
Yep, click on the, yep. Influenza vaccine. See where it says start time of year and end time of year?
Yep.
Oh, it's
So
already there.
this is-
Okay, good.
Right. Is that correct? So middle of March to, September 1st to middle of March? Is that what you need?
We usually do it till March 31st.
Oh,
I
you
think
don't-
Medicare requires, we start September 1st and we end March 31st.
Okay, so
So
this
you
would
just
end
set the time of year to 31st
end of the
and
month.
it'll do that.
Right,
Just make note
because
of
I
that.
believe that the Medicare requirements are from September 1st to March 31st.
And I found the other one, so we can actually jump back in a moment here. Okay, and just so you know that as far as the satisfiers are concerned, these are our orders for the vaccine to be given in the office, and then our manual satisfiers as well.
Okay.
Okay, and so Tdap vaccine, here's that. We also have the order, so same kind of similar concept of the influenza, and then also the manual satisfiers. I do want to still follow up on the rule for that, though,
I'm
to
sorry,
let you know what that
did we
is.
see the logic?
No, I didn't see the rule in there. I'm going to follow up with that, that
Okay.
piece of it. But there's the satisfiers. And what was the other one? The other one was statin use. Here, so manual satisfier. So this is a manual satisfier of CVD risk less than 10%. Oops.
Okay.
Results. These are all form results.
You know, I thought
Yeah,
this
these are
was, honestly, I thought this was in diabetics and not just in the general
General
population.
Yeah.
If it's not diabetic specific, then this is not a priority one.
Okay.
that we don't have to deal. You can unhighlight that in my list.
Okay. Okay.
So just so the Tdap vaccine, it's not just a qualified age, it's having had one greater than 10 years prior.
Okay. Anything else with that one? Because let me just double check on that.
Yeah, it's greater than 10 years prior, and it's either a TD or a Tdap.
TD or a Tdap. Okay. All right. So for the next one, the IPPE, we updated right now. It says annual wellness visit. We'll look at adding Medicare to
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
verbiage there. And let's jump here. So the adult wellness exam, this one's probably...
Wait. I think you want to look at IPPE, right?
Yep.
Although the person is at least 65 years old. That's the annual wellness exam.
Just making sure it's not another one that I'm... Oh, that looks like it's it. Let me pull up the...
See, it gets confusing because, people under 65 also have annual wellness visits,
Yeah, so this, I think, I believe this adult wellness exam, this is what's looking at the rule that we were just looking at. So I'm going to see
right. And so
about
that is
this.
also Medicare. So,
This is also Medicare. Okay.
right. So here's the thing. I guess the IPP is the very first Medicare wellness exam. So can I look at the logic of that one, of what triggers that? Because my guess is that it's a different logic for someone who is, on Medicare, who has never had an annual wellness visit ever. So.
So I don't see a separate rule for this. So let me follow up if there's another trigger on this one, and then also what rule this is looking at as far as the satisfiers are concerned. I'm assuming, my guess is it's probably the first one.
If this adult wellness exam is actually a Medicare wellness exam, then it should say Medicare on it, because if I'm confused and I know this like the back of my hand, then others are definitely confused, right? Because adults does not imply Medicare, and Medicare is not just people 65 and older, because not everyone over 65 has Medicare, and some people under 65 have Medicare. So it has to, if there's a way for the rule to look at their actual insurance status, that's better.
Okay, yeah, so it's listed separately as adult wellness exam. Okay, so we're gonna let me highlight this one real quick.
Yep.
We're gonna name this. Should be under Medicare
Right.
adult. And this
Yeah,
is
I'd
the
love
one.
to compare the logic between the two and see what triggers one and what triggers the other, and whether or not we need two of them or if we can
Right.
just consolidate it into one.
That was going to be my next point, because I have a feeling this one might not even have logic set for it. So I'm going to check on this one. Because right now, this was listed as annual. As far as the satisfiers for the one that's listed as IPPE, we have an exam note, an annual wellness visit completed, which is a manual satisfier.
Yeah.
And then we also have a power form for annual wellness visit. And then there's orders as well for the billing codes.
All right. I mean, I'm going to take this offline with some of the population health people, but having a manual completion may not work for us because we use the annual wellness visit as one of our metrics for shared savings in our ACO, and if we pull our reports based on the completion of the annual wellness visit, health maintenance, I don't know how the reports are pulled. So if someone can just click it and say, oh yes, I did it, but there's no actual documentation, they'll get credit for something they didn't do. So that may have to come out.
Just note here. So we can monitor that. Okay. All right. Wow, we only got 15 minutes left. Okay, so we'll obviously have another session to go through these when we need to. Colon cancer screening. All right, so we have persons between 45 and 75, and person does not have a condition of colon cancer, then the person qualifies for the colon cancer screening.
Okay. Do you ever put, the person is, on hospice or anything like that?
Not that I've... Dee, have you seen that? I have not seen that.
Yes, I have seen it at a client, but they were discreetly documenting in the problem list that a patient was on hospice. So you have to be discreetly documenting it somewhere in the chart for us to use it in a rule that a patient is on hospice if you want the expectation not to trigger because they're on hospice.
Sure, I understand that, but we usually do that.
Okay, then we would just need to know what that problem code was or how you document that.
Yeah.
And Dr. Shapiro, it's Anne Marie. What about total colectomy? Wasn't that something that we currently have in that book that will exclude it from health maintenance?
That's right.
All right, so we talk about the hospice indication within the documentation, and we could look at modifying
And
the
also, also, as Anne-Marie said, if someone's had a total colectomy, they don't need to.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So I listed as a procedure, a previous procedure.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
just for the sake of time. All right, let's look at the satisfiers. This is survivorship. We don't want that. Let's here. There we go. Colon cancer screening. Okay, so quite a few. There's a bunch of different manual satisfiers that are here, and as well as results and orders that would qualify. So there's definitely quite a few for this one. And then there's also procedures indicated as completed that would qualify, and then also some billing codes.
Okay.
And
This is
the
another-
Cologuard of the Exact Sciences, which is now live in the domain.
Yeah, this is another one where we may want to take out the manual completion.
Which would be
That one, yeah.
colonoscopy completed, and also this Cologuard completed probably can get removed as well at this point, since we now have the Exact Sciences looped in. So just note those two: Cologuard completed, colonoscopy.
Yeah. Those are also in our metric for shared savings.
And I just have a question in regards to satisfying, say, the colon cancer screening. If we receive a colonoscopy from an external facility, are there certain procedures that we're going to be made aware of how it needs to be in the chart? Like what type of order it has to go to, or that's my biggest concern, because a lot of the, this is coming externally from outside physicians. And
Right,
when
like
we put it in the
99% of
chart-
it is coming.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to, it's just another conversation about these measures and exactly how they can be satisfied.
Yeah, and how do you change the date, like the colon?
Right.
I was going to add,
Yeah.
then I was told that I guess we can also do like note types for like outside documentation. If they scan like certain type of note types, it can satisfy the recommendation. Is that still, I guess, recommended to do that for outside records?
Crickets. Okay, nobody knows the answer.
Well, I know that certain note types, obviously can satisfy other aspects of the domain. As far as, I'm not sure about the recommendations component, though. When Dee gets back, we can ask her that.
Sorry about that. Yes, note types are an event set, and anything that's an event set can be used as a satisfier.
So, so how do you change the date of the satisfier? Like, someone, this is a confusing one, right? Because a colonoscopy comes back. Some people say have it in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Okay, and how is there a way to manually override that, satisfied date so that it reflects the report?
So when the report comes in, you go to the not do historical tab where it had satisfied for, say, 10 years. And say the report says, I need a colonoscopy in 3 years because they saw something concerning, but not overly concerning. So you change the recurrence. So under the modify button in the recommendations component, there's an option to change the recurrence, and you can change it to whatever you need for that patient based on the report that
Okay. That's fine. Okay, good.
All right, so we have the discrete hospice we discussed. Right now it's set to 45 to 75 with no listed problem of colon cancer. We're going to look at removing the manual satisfiers of Cologuard completed and colonoscopy completed, and then the outside documents as well. Okay. All right. right. Probably maybe do the next, let's see how far we get. The next two, lung cancer screening and breast cancer screening.
So lung cancer screening is a relatively, it's straightforward, but has multiple parts to it.
Okay, this one. Person's a problem with life cycle status of active in a vocabulary or SNOMED CT that equals 295.166.019. I have to see what that's even equal to. That's probably, I'm guessing. Let's pull this up. Cancer screening. Usually those SNOMED codes are procedure or diagnosis, but let me find out what that code is referring to. So get you more information on that.
Right, because that has very specific criteria. Patient
Yeah.
needs to be between the ages of 50 and 79, has to have a total smoking pack year history of 20 pack years, and has to be currently smoking or quit less than 15 years ago. Okay.
So I have something that he can use to create that rule. That is a social history thing, and social history can't be read by health maintenance, so we have to create a discern rule to trigger something on the problem list for it to work. I can't get the quit less than 15 years ago thing in there. I can do the pack year, and I've got a whole instruction thing on how to do it. So let me know what you need, Victor.
So if health maintenance can't read off the social history, how does smoking cessation health maintenance work? I thought it pulls it off the social history.
I created a discern problem on the problem list for it to read it.
Okay.
So I have a special discern rule for lung cancer screening and smoking cessation. Drops a problem on the problem list for each one of those so that it can be read by health maintenance.
Okay, that's good.
Yep. I've got instructions for both if you need them.
That'd be great, Dee, if you can send that my way.
All right.
As far as the satisfiers are concerned, let's look at the manual. Then we have the CT lung cancer screening results, low dose CT scan result, and then we have an order to order the CT lung cancer screening.
All right. I also think. Oh no, I'm sorry. I see it there. Never mind. The only other thing is hospice also. Someone's on hospice.
Oh, this would apply for that as well? Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Any cancer screening, breast cancer screening also.
Gotcha. Okay.
Actually, when you're in hospice, a lot of these things don't count, but it's just, adds insult to injury. If someone's dying, they say, oh, when was your last colonoscopy?
All right, I got time for one more. The breast cancer screening. Administrative sex of female. Person is between 50 and 74. Does not have a condition of bilateral mastectomy and does not have a condition of breast cancer.
Okay. That's not entirely true because someone can have breast cancer and still need a mastectomy. Still need a mammogram. If you have breast cancer in the right, you could still get breast cancer in the left, and you can get another breast cancer in the right.
Gotcha.
So,
let me comment on that. So when it comes to screenings, Cerner has taken the stance that if a patient needs a screening, they don't have a condition of breast cancer, because if you've had a condition of breast cancer, you've got an oncologist following you for that. So this is for people that don't have cancer. That's what screenings are specifically for. And then we assume that a patient who's had breast cancer is being followed by an oncologist. That's why we write the rule that way, just for everybody's information.
Okay, and to play the devil's advocate, if someone has had breast cancer, 20 years ago, that diagnosis may still stay on their problem list, but they may no longer be seeing an oncologist and still need their mammograms.
So then what would preclude somebody from having a breast cancer screening? Would you say a double mastectomy and that's it?
And the age, yep.
So then that's how you build the rule. You won't use the Cerner standard rule for that.
So sex,
Which
age.
is a lot for people in that population.
So we would be essentially removing the does not have mastectomy and then the breast cancer condition.
No, you would keep the bilateral mastectomy.
Okay.
You would remove the condition of breast cancer.
Breast cancer. Okay, gotcha.
So, and also, when you have it listed as has a condition of bilateral mastectomy, is that pulling from the problem list or from the surgical history?
Problem list, we don't pull from surgical history.
So then that would be the same as the for the colorectal. It would have to be on the problem list. There's no way to pull it from
Right.
surgical?
Yeah,
That's
but
correct.
Okay.
that sort of needs to happen anyway, Emery. Not so much for the for the colectomy, but for the mastectomy, it has to be on the problem list because it's, I think, an HCC code. So it has to be dropped for that once a year anyway.
Condition of cancer. So let's look at the satisfiers and can wrap up there for today. Is breast cancer screening. Okay, so pretty similar. A lot of all the results from mammographies and then orders for them as well with the manual satisfiers.
Right. Yeah, the manual satisfier should be removed for this also.
Let's see which one. These are results.
Yeah, the one that says completed,
Just
that one
completed.
should be removed. Yeah.
I know we're about out of time. Vinny, when's the next time we could get this group together? First week of first of January?
I would say there's a little, now that we have, so I think if we want to finish up the list, then yes, I think we could definitely do the first week of January. Make sure we go through it. As far as starting to get the changes in there, that I just want to, there might be a few that take a little bit longer than others, so we'd have to have that conversation offline of when we're able to, retest everything and take a look at everything we've made as far as changes on the component are concerned. But outside of that, I think, let's look to aim for, if we could do the first week. I know Monday's a holiday, so I don't know if Tuesday's a good day.
Yeah, Tuesday's fine with me in the morning. As long as we're done by noon, 11 is fine.
Okay. Gary, can you schedule that for us, please? And also, Vinny, Dr. Shapiro
What day
has
was that again?
the 3rd, I think.
You know what, actually, is it possible to do just a tad later in the week? That week, is Thursday better? Could we do Thursday?
Thursday, I'm only available at noon. Allen time.
January 5th.
How about Friday?
Friday, I'm available after 1:30.
That might.
Oh, no, Friday, yeah. Friday I'm available probably after 2.
After 2?
Yeah.
How about 4 on Friday the 6th?
That should work for me.
Perfect. And we can get through the rest of the list.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I think we got about halfway through.
Yeah. And Dr. Shapiro has access to Build, so she can kind of go in and poke around and see the changes that you're making and stuff.
Yeah.
And give you some feedback. So.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
do that. That sounds good.
All right. Awesome. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Great work. I really appreciate all the effort that everyone's making.
Of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everyone have a great holiday if I don't speak to you.
Yeah.
Thanks.